questions about the anchor voice, and I'm going to do my best in this video to try and explain it in under a minute. So,
good evening and welcome back to Brighten Your Day. Good evening and welcome back to the Brighten Your Day show, your one and only stop shop for the best and very accurate news. On today's report, we have a landmark case all about social media addiction, something we cover very frequently on this show because as your host, I struggle with social media addiction. But we're fixing that. And that is something that I like to talk about a lot, is how I'm fixing that through art and anything I can find. Anyways. In this landmark case, it is Meta and Google against a 20-year-old plaintiff who goes by the name of, I'm not sure, I think it's her initials, basically alleging that they knew the harms that social media had against teens and they didn't care and did it anyways. And as a matter of fact, I believe text messages or emails or memos were released even regarding them saying that to capture them as teenagers, you need to capture them as tweens. I am your host, and welcome back to the Brighten Your Day show. Okay, actually though, this was really, really cool. I've been reading this for about a few days now. It is a landmark case that's been going through trial, and Meta and Google just lost, basically knowing that they were giving an addictive product to everybody. And I know how ironic this is. I'm talking literally on Google's platform right now, YouTube. I'd like to think that YouTube's a little bit better, but if you would like to get off, I don't blame you. Get off. Don't listen to me on any platform ever. Get off socials altogether, and I won't blame you. It was very cool to see kind of the wins that humanity has had the past week and a half. This is a case that is going to be huge for other cases that I was reading that are already in the works but hasn't, gone fully through to a verdict yet. And so it is kind of a huge deal, the fact that the jury really did come back and say that they were guilty and and believed that they were guilty. I think it's going to change social media as we know it, or possibly change social media as we know it. And yeah, I like looking at news like this to see kind of the trend and the tide. And clearly, unless you've been living under a rock, you know that many people struggle with social media use and screen time use, me included. And so I did think that this was interesting. What was interesting too is like a Facebook whistleblower, I believe her name was Frances Haugen, Hougen, said Facebook claims that it can't find underage kids on the platform because they lie about their age when they sign up, but testified to senators that is false. She stated that Facebook could employ the mechanisms it uses to analyze other types of audiences on the platform, but just chooses not to do so. She goes way, way into the weeds of what Facebook knew and what happened. She even says something like, I think we are going to look back in 20 years from now and all of us are going to be like, what the hell were we thinking when we recognize the damage that Facebook has done to this generation? Republican Senator Dan Sullivan said, our children are the ones who are the victims. Teens today are looking in the mirror, filled doubt and insecurity. Mark Zuckerberg ought to be looking at himself in the mirror. Oof. Yeah, I was listening to this interview that I believe it was Democracy Now! On YouTube gave, and they were interviewing the last witness. Can't remember his name. He's 23. He has this like whole active page. I'll link them down below. But essentially, he said that we were the guinea pig generation, which I completely agree with 1,000%. That nobody really knew the harms and yet just let people have free reign. And on top of that, like, let us have raging addictions and not even realizing it at this point. I don't blame parents for that whatsoever, but I do think that everybody, me included, but everybody is realizing the ramifications of this and what to do with it. It's like, at first I feel like it's a moral thing that people believe. It's like, oh, just get off your phone and, live your life and whatever. And I agree to a certain point, but we also have brains that aren't evolved to handle this type of tech manipulation that these corporations spend hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars trying to figure out how to hijack our brains. So it's like we can't blame ourselves so much to the point of like not realizing that we are susceptible to things, and we didn't even know that we were susceptible to things, but people have figured out how to hijack our brains. I spent the literal weekend doom scrolling and I felt so awful about myself. I'm not even gonna lie. Um, and obviously, this is mostly to protect kids, which is great and amazing. And I think it should protect kids. Um, I don't think any of us should have had Snapchat at 13 years old, like I started, or Instagram, I believe at 13 or 14. Like, yeah, it's very interesting, and I don't even know what to say about it besides I'm happy that people are talking about it. Um, I don't know. But as your humble host, as your humble leader, as your, I guess, your news anchor as of right now, I'm thinking about ways like if I was appointed chief of staff when it came to all of social media and how to change it, but I wanted to kind of focus on especially like Instagram, but maybe YouTube as well. What would I do right now if I was appointed CEO to make it a better experience? Now, is it going to make it more money? Probably not, because that requires people's undivided attention and, you know, all the things that they have already done. But to make it better, to make the quality of life of people better. So I'm moving this cord because this cord is in the way. I know for a fact what I would do very, very first if I was CEO of Instagram is I would replace the For You page to the chronological order of the people you follow. How many times have we talked about this? How many times have we said this? I believe that that is like the TikTokification of everything has really gotten out of control. And of course, other companies are going to follow along because it revolutionized social media companies. Like, I'm sure that they have grown an exponential amount because of the algorithms of the For You page. Now, I will even go as far to say, like, I don't think it needs to fully go away. Like, I think the algorithm can serve you, you know, if you're looking for the right things and whatnot. But there is like reports, even in this like Time article about that lawsuit, of them purposefully feeding you stuff that you're not interested in, but that will engage you because you're either fearful or you're angry. So it's like the algorithm literally rage baits you, and it knows that you'll stay on because of fear or because of anger. And that needs to be absolutely eradicated. There's one thing if you're saying, hey, algorithm, like show me funny stuff. And so you keep clicking on funny stuff and whatever. And I guess you're still in an echo chamber of something. There's another thing when it knows that it'll keep you on the platform with ill intent, by showing you stuff. So like chronological order, please, of the people we follow and the people we love. It is not social media anymore. It is interest-based media. I heard Gary Vee talk about that recently, about how like we don't follow people we know anymore. And it has actually allowed like creators and the creative economy to boom. But then like you're not even allowed to see your subscribers in your audience anymore, and they're inundated with the recommendation algorithm, and like they can't even find you anymore. It's hard. So like very first, when you first open the Instagram app, there needs to be an end to the scroll, and there needs to be an end of like the update. Remember when you used to scroll on Instagram and it was like you're all caught up? I haven't felt satisfaction like that since TikTok has arrived. Because it will never, ever, 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 ever tell you that you're caught up. Ever. And I miss those days. I think stories actually are quite useful still, so I'm going to keep those around. Maybe people hate stories, but I am able to actually see the people I want to see on stories more often. It's kind of like the first place I check for the people I like care about, you know, in my life and stuff. So I would like that. The explored page, gosh, it needs to be absolutely like gutted. There can be some sort of search, maybe like a Google, like a Google type search on Instagram if you're looking for something specific. But I feel like the user experience would be a lot better if you don't look at the explore page and have just like 400 videos of freaking people with no clothes, or people saying you're ugly, or people saying how to look smacks, or whatever. It doesn't even matter. Even if it's just like golf videos or workout videos or whatever you're interested in, it is like way too much for our brains. I know it. And I know that they like that. Okay. They like that. But that needs a whole overhaul. Whole overhaul. Absolutely. It needs to be eradicated. Same thing with YouTube. If there's one thing that I feel like I would change about YouTube, I don't know, because sometimes I get recommended something good. And that's what's really hard when you're trying to quit social media. Like, I haven't had social media on my phone in a while besides YouTube, which honestly, I've been doom scrolling YouTube way too much, and I might need to delete it off my phone too, which is so funny. I know, it's ironic, okay? I'm talking about it on here. But something I feel like is hard to get off of is shorts on YouTube need to be eradicated immediately. Immediately. If I was appointed CEO of YouTube, shorts are not on the homepage. Maybe there's another tab that I guess you can doom scroll shorts if you really want to do that, because it can be fine, I guess. But it needs to be like divided out. There can't be something so like, it just wants to pull you in. It's like a black hole that keeps you there. And the recommended page, like, I don't know, it needs an overhaul, or maybe just a subscriber-based page, an easier subscriber-based page, because I feel like they've tried to do something like that, but it's not as good. It's not as good. I don't know. I do really agree that we were the guinea pig generation, though. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that we should delete all social media? Do you think that this lawsuit is going to change a lot of things about social media? Do you think it's too late for that? I would love to know your thoughts about this. Anyways, we are going to get into something that I've been thinking a lot about, something that I've been watching a lot of video essays about, a lot of Substacks even about. I've been seeing this talked about. I am not the first person to talk about this, but that is the ever-growing, the ever-rising pile of sequels and prequels and remakes of shows. Okay? Now, when I talk about these things, I actually get a little fearful, and I want to tread a little lightly, only because I am an actress and I don't want anyone to hate me for my opinion and then not choose me for a role. I know that that is possibly maybe dumb, but I'm just saying that as a fact, okay? What? My hands look gigantic. Anyways, I have to sit here and say, I just saw that the Lord of the Rings is getting another show, another 2 shows. One of them is, what is it called? The Hunt for Gollum. I don't know who's screenwriting that. I know this guy named Peter something. Peter McGee and Philippa Boyens is doing that. But I just saw the news of the other Lord of the Rings. Now, if you haven't seen this and you're a huge Lord of the Rings fan, I would probably guess that you're upset about this. That's at least when I looked at the Lord of the Rings Reddit page, Reddit forum, people were very upset about this announcement. I have to admit, I used to not care about the Lord of the Rings when I was little, didn't understand it. My mom tried to make me watch it, just like she tried to make me watch Harry Potter, which we're going to talk about with the remake. But Lord of the Rings was a little complex for my tiny little pea brain at that time, and so I had to wait. But I will say, they have been showing the trilogy in theaters, and I went and watched the first one again, and I was like, oh, okay, so I get it. Oh, okay, so that's really awesome. Okay, so after I finish Throne of Glass, I'm going to be doing Lord of the Rings. Throne of Glass is literally, right behind me, which we were going to talk about as well. Anyways, fantasy has just bloomed in my heart and in my soul, and fantasy books, so I believe I'm going to be reading that one day. I have to sit here and ask the question many people are asking, which is, who asked for this? Now, the second Lord of the Rings is tentatively titled The Lord of the Rings Shadow of the Past. It is in development for release around 2026 to 2027, co-written by super fan Stephen Colbert and his son, Peter McGee. Oh, Peter McGee's his son. Sorry, my bad. And Philippa Boyens, produced by Peter Jackson. That's who I'm talking about, who's producing The Hunt for Gollum. Peter Jackson. Wingnut Films. It follows Sam, Merry, and Pippin 14 years post Frodo, exploring unadapted material and a new mystery. That is, I feel like you might be playing with fire, because if it isn't broke, don't fix it, in my opinion. In my humble opinion. The Lord of the Rings trilogy. Now, I know that there's things that wasn't from the books, and people will always have something to say with book adaptations, to movies or whatever, but it is beautiful and it is a work of art in and of itself. I am definitely worried about new films being made in this series. I wonder how that's going to play out. I've tried to look more into it, but since they just announced it, it's not, you can't really see a ton about it. Why I believe that Sinners, one of the reasons why I believe Sinners got so much attention by audiences and also ended up winning lots of Oscar nominees, I believe that one of those reasons is because it was original. Because it wasn't a sequel or a prequel or a remake or a reboot or anything like that. It was original. Now, I don't know if they maybe took it from a book or it was still a remake of something, so there could be something with that I am not aware of. But it was refreshing. It was different. It was shot different. It the whole story and the lore, that was different. It wasn't a Marvel remake. It wasn't anything that we had seen in a while, and I feel like people were just oh, finally, if I wasn't procrastinating this, another reboot that I was gonna, or not reboot, another sequel that I was gonna watch is Tron Ares. I didn't watch that one in the theaters because my sister said it wasn't good. And so I was a little worried and I was a little sad. And also, they didn't bring Daft Punk back for that. I don't know how, because Daft Punk literally made the first Tron series. Is it Daft Punk? Oh my gosh, I'd be really embarrassed if it wasn't. I think it is. So good. But I procrastinated this episode and now it's literally 9:50 p.m. So, what are we talking about? Lord of the Rings, Tron, tons of the Marvel films. Oh my gosh. I mean, I really could go on, and I'm sure you're sitting here yes, we know. And I sit here and I'm like, people are begging for originality. And I think that whether it was because of just economic worries or the people at the top of these film industries are worried about their margins or worried about whatever. And maybe there's a good reason why they play it safe. But as an artist and as speaking to other artists and just people, I think we want more originality. I think we're ready for it. I think I would literally rather go to the movies at this point and see an original film that's absolutely ass booty and still appreciate that someone shot their shot on something original than see the 12th Top Gun. I think that's where I'm at, to be so honest with you. And that brings us to our other remake. And this one I am very concerned about. I actually watched the trailer before this and my spirits were lifted a little bit. But as an avid Harry Potter fan, and my mother is a huge Harry Potter fan, for Halloween, we do not decorate anything in our house, in my family's house. Halloweenish, we decorate it as Hogwarts and Harry Potter. Our house growing up, or I guess moderately growing up when I was a little older, is known as the Harry Potter house on Halloween. That's how much my mom loves it. My mom has real life Quidditch brooms and Quidditch cloaks hanging around. I'm not kidding here. So when I watched the new Harry Potter trailer for the Philosopher's Stone, which is going to be a TV series of the first book, I was pleasantly surprised. I was. I feel like they captured there's a heart and essence of Harry Potter that's very important, and I feel like they did do a good job. But I keep reading comments and it's it's either going to be a catastrophic failure or an absolute success. But I feel like people, just like the Lord of the Rings, they look at the original actors and actresses of Harry Potter, and that is a forever thing. Daniel Radcliffe is Harry Potter. Now, did they choose a perfect cast for especially Harry Potter and Ron and Hermione? I think so, especially for the books. Now, there is a little, and see, this is where I get nervous. Okay. I see the two sides so fully here. So don't get mad at me. I'm just the messenger, I'm just the commentator. There, there's anger with Snape and his casting. And I don't know why he got casted. I haven't looked into his background. He's probably a phenomenal actor. But in the books, like it's said that in the books, which I have not read the books, but in the books it's said that he had pale skin and dark hair and he was really scrawny and like weird looking and whatever. And when I think about that, I think about Snape from the original. Like that seems like a perfect casting. Anyways, apparently J.K. Rowling is working on Harry Potter, like working on the set of the new one, and she's proud of it. And I did love the books, or not the books, sorry, the original films. So it gives me a little bit of hope. Something else I do want to talk about for just a second is the use of cameras has obviously evolved, okay? The tech of cameras has evolved like crazy. And there's a lot of people in like the Harry Potter Reddit thread, which why am I on Reddit a lot? I feel like I've been on Reddit a ton recently. And a lot of people are talking about how it just feels like uncanny in like the Harry Potter trailer and like the other trailers that are new. Like they're almost so crystal clear and it's so like lit up in like the cinematography and stuff that it's like odd. And you like it's perfectly placed dirt or perfectly placed sweat, or like you can see too much of them in a way where when you look at like older films, it like had a good amount of like graininess in some sort of settings and like dark shadows that it almost seemed realer than right now, where like people are like, I can't help but really notice that it feels like I'm looking at actors on a film set. I'm not looking at the world. It's like too crystal clear for me. And HBO is producing this series, which every time I think about HBO, I think about Euphoria. And then I think about like Euphoria directors in HBO directing a Harry Potter. And I'm like, that would be a really funny crossover if Harry Potter was like PG-13 rated. I don't know. And then I have the song in my head like, ha, 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 ha. I don't know why I'm saying that. Anyways, HBO does have a tendency of having that like really, especially and Netflix, like really flat kind of lighting. It makes that the actors and stuff look beautiful, but it's like it almost makes them look too good. Like they're too filtered. They're too non-human in a way. Like and that actually worries me a lot with being an actress is like a lot of people are getting Botox and fillers, and is that just going to be the normal thing, is not being able to move your face? And then you feel pressure that you're getting too old or whatever, and then you succumb to that. And so I understand why actors and actresses like get work done, but then it impedes with their like actual ability to emote, have emotion, which is a whole other thing. I am getting in the weeds here. But it's a really interesting thing. I urge you to go watch the Harry Potter trailer though. Tell me what you think. I am like slightly excited. It does come out, I believe, Christmas Day, 2026, which is always a fun day to have like new stuff out. Like Stranger Things came out, like, the first leg of Stranger Things came out Christmas Day, and then it was New Year's. Like that was such a smart marketing move, regardless on what you think about the Stranger Things thing. I have a whole episode about the Stranger Things stuff, debacle, and my thoughts up here. I'll put it somewhere in the links. Somewhere, okay? But yeah, I don't know. It's a really interesting thing. I really want originality. I really want people and directors and writers. Like I'm sure at the bottom there are writers and screenplay writers and stuff sending in original films, and they're like, "Please, like green light this. Please, let's do this." And that's ultimately why I also think that there's going to be way more of a move to indie films. This is just a prediction. A24 is killing it. Killing it. They're huge though. Like they're almost not indie because of how big they are. And there's a lot of other like independent, like Markiplier, who is literally a YouTuber, made his own film, and then he had so many fans go across to all of the theaters that they showed it in like 3,000 theaters worldwide or USA wide. And that like really moved the needle for independent film. And obviously YouTube, like people are filmmakers on YouTube. It's crazy out here. So I would be curious to see like how much that does combat with each other, you know? Oh, last thing I did want to say actually is kind of to end this segment and this topic is Ryan Gosling was, I believe, interviewed for Variety, and it's for his, Project Hail Mary movie that they've been working on. Apparently he saw this screen he got like the manuscript like 6 years ago, he's what he said. But something I found really interesting and that I really appreciate about Ryan Gosling is he said this. He basically just said, Ryan Gosling tells Hollywood it's not moviegoers' job to keep the theaters open. It's our job to make things that are worth viewers coming out. That is a man that knows what he's talking about. I think we need more originality and more care. I'm sure there's so many people that want that in traditional Hollywood too, and maybe it's just the powers that be that make it really hard to do that. But I agree with him. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are on that. If you haven't watched my last episode, I have been really obsessed with fantasy. Now, maybe you don't care about fantasy, maybe you don't care about books. If you want to, I will tag that video somewhere. I just want to give an update, just a quick update for the people that care. I am reading the second book in the Throne of Glass series, and I'm already like halfway through. I'm already planning on reading probably my next one within like the next week or so, depending on how busy I am. It has overtaken my life. I have gotten so many comments from my last video talking about what I should read next. A lot of them were talking about the other Sarah J. Maas series. And I don't know if I want to stick in her like worlds and stuff or if I want to go totally different, like reading Lord of the Rings for the first time or something like that. But let me know if you guys have thoughts on what I should read. I keep thinking about the difference between self-help and fantasy, and I really do believe that self-help in all forms of media is actually kind of falling apart. Like I was gonna do a clickbaity title, like the downfall of self-help media or whatever. But it is true. I do think that I used to listen to all of the podcasts talking about productivity and health and wellness. And I think they're good, and I think I learned a lot from it. But it's like I would listen to so many, like the Huberman Lab or Chris Williamson's Modern Wisdom, or I know there's more, but I can't remember. I'm tired. And then I would read so many books like Atomic Habits or Stillness is the Key or Brene Brown's books or Daring Greatly. And over time, I don't feel like it reaches me as deeply as it does with fiction and fantasy. I feel like there's so many themes in classics, especially. That's why they're classics, honestly, is because of the lessons and the timeless stories that they tell. Teach you so much about life and the fiction. Like, this first step I went out of self-help was reading The Alchemist, which is still, honestly, it's like a little wrapper for a self-help book. But it was a perfect little step out to be like, oh, I can learn really good lessons about my life through a story. And it doesn't have to be like so ripped of everything that we find interesting and creative and fun. Like I feel like a lot of those people really do look down upon look down upon like fantasy and romance and fiction and whatever. And I used to think that too, like if it's not giving me utility in my life, if I'm not learning, if I'm not feeling like I'm pushing the needle forward, like why waste my time or whatever. And I just feel like I've grown so much more this past like probably 3 to 4 weeks reading what I want to read than like kind of push through and reading something I don't care about. Ultimately, you do what you got to do. You read what you want to read, but like I really do believe that there's a big shift away from like the experts and the people talking on the podcast telling you that sugar is bad, and then there's another expert on there that's like sugar is good, and then the other one's like this is how you lose weight, and then the other one's like, oh, you can't lose weight because it's or because it's your genetics, and so you just accept yourself. And then there's another one that's talking about war. Like it's just the age of just like the expert for the expert's sake and the self-help guru for the self-help guru's sake, I feel like is coming to an end. I want C.S. Lewis to teach me a thing or two about life. I want J.R. Tolkien to teach me a thing or two about life. I want Mary Oliver to teach me a thing or two about life, and I believe she already has taught me a thing or two about life. And the fact I'm reading anything at all is also a huge, huge, huge win for me and possibly for you if I can convince you to do anything. It's to pick up any book and read it. It doesn't have to be like something that you deem good enough to read, you know? Like it doesn't have to be Atomic Habits for you to feel good and for you to feel productive. And I also think like the productification of everything has really actually caused me a lot of stress and anxiety. I feel like I do, at least as an artist, a lot of my work that I do, it's not even work, a lot of my true work that I do, you would look at me and not think that I'm doing anything. It's my walks out in nature when I'm just thinking or letting my brain go. It's my bath time. It's when I work out and listen to good music. It's when I'm hanging out with friends and like truly connecting and laughing. Like it's a lot deeper. And I feel like if you're able to be more and more present, your productivity will come from such a different place. It's like a pull instead of a push. It's like magnetism versus like forcing you to do something. You know the difference, and there is a difference. I'm preaching from also kind of outside of the club right now because I haven't had that good of a week in terms of productivity. I have been on my phone too much, but I do think that books and fantasy is something I'm going to keep talking about more and more on here. So if you follow along, I really hope you like books. Maybe I will just do lessons from books and not spoilers. Or if you guys want me to talk in depth about certain books, I will as well. So as always, put those in the comments below. But yeah, I think that is it. You guys. Let me know if there's anything else you would like me to talk about. I have my Substack called The Bright Side. You know where to find that. Everything will be down below. And, you can watch one of these here too if you would like. Only if you would like to. And until next time, bye.